On this episode of Fellowship of the Swords, we'll be discussing 3 a.m., the significance thereof, and how it applies to infestations, possession, oppression, and the work that we do in spiritual warfare. Hello and greetings to everyone. My name is Kenneth Deel, along with my wife,
Farah Rose Deel.
And begin with 3 a.m., and we're talking about this, is why does it seem that demonics seem to pick up an extra amount of power and get more of an oomph, a kick, if you will, when an hour of 3 a.m., usually between 2 and 4, because I'm sure they don't care about daylight savings time. And we can, give an idea from either perspective. Let's just start with the theology of Jesus on the cross. Jesus had ascended into heaven at 3 p.m., the complete opposite flip.
Yes.
Another noonday. And it was said that, the Catholics, the Blessed Mother was assumed into heaven at 3 p.m. So you might say that the veil between this world and heaven is at its thinnest, perhaps, at 3 p.m. So what about the flip side? You get into the darkness.
The height of Satan's vanity here, I think a lot of people don't understand, is that his pride, his anger at not being able to do what God does. So that if you can keep in mind, whether you're curious, you're an investigator, or someone trying to figure out what's going on in your own home, Satan is going to mimic and taunt and make a mockery out of anything holy and any point of faith that you adhere to.
And that brings it to that, because the number 3 is a mockery of the Trinity, some say, but not the time so much in itself. It's not, let's pick 3 a.m. because it makes fun of the Trinity again. But, that's something else that we could probably, try to fit some of that into this discussion a little bit, because it is significant, because the number 3 itself, 3 knocks, kind of a warning sign of, it's beginning an infestation. We get our warning.
It's not natural. The night is not natural. Our bodies are built on a biorhythm that we're up with the sunrise. We sleep at sunset. Now, if Satan were to knock on your door 3 times in the day, would you care? No, you'd be like, oh, that was probably the neighbor's kids. You wouldn't pay attention to it. But when your sleep is disturbed, you're wondering why. When something falls off your end table at 3 a.m., you're wondering why. If it happens during the day, you can brush it off. And we'll get in those type of hauntings much later. It's a lot more frightening for us as humans to be awoken in the middle of the night, and for anything to happen, such as nightmares, night terrors, scary noises, and usually it happens in groups of 3s. That's when you know that it's definitely evil type human spirit, evil type demonic spirit, or a lower level demonic that has come into your house just to see and test the waters of what it can do.
Exactly, and 3 a.m., and we're talking about that, we have an idea, and we're saying it's still, how am I going to know until we go to heaven one day, and hopefully, and we can have that knowledge. We don't have to ask God questions, we'll know things. We don't have to attain knowledge in, the afterlife. It's there. Not as a ghost, but I'm talking about in heaven, if you're just a body spirit.
We become pure spirit again.
So we'll really learn, but this is one of the theories, which I really strongly believe in.
And it comes from our own experience. We both have experience with this.
Yeah.
So this is why we've developed the theory.
And that would be, if you wake up and you look at your clock and it's 3 a.m. and you ask yourself, this clock's 10 minutes fast. It's daylight savings time. Technically, it's, an hour difference in what the clock is showing. You have to think about this. Why did you wake up to begin with? Why was it important for you to wake up? What I think happens is your guardian angel wakes you up and lets you see something significant, so that you can defend your house against it. Go about the house, bless it, start saying your rebuke prayers. Because sometimes, I had the experiences when I was younger, coming out of a dream, a very dark dream, or something manifested in a dream out of some goofy, obscure party. Here comes this, the lights dim, and a tornado looking thing enters the room, and I wake up and I find I woke up exactly at 3 a.m. That's not a coincidence.
I don't believe
Especially
so.
when you get a string of these things together. But the veil between this world and hell, we'll just call it the hellish dimension, where the demons dwell, is definitely at its thinnest between the hours of 2 and 4. That's pretty much agreed, and from experience alone on that. And there's not really a theology. See if we can wake up the spirit of Aquinas by reading his books. find out if you ever, encountered that. That's the good thing about the lives of saints. Don't take that for granted. The history of the church and the church fathers. So the number three itself is it's not really a numerology thing, but it's just thinking the Holy Spirit, the Son and the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But the 3 a.m. thing does seem to be something more along the lines of that is their playground, and it is also dark. And what happened in some of these places is that they had this poltergeist activity going on past 3 o'clock till 4, and then it quit when the sun came up, but it started around 2.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the possessions that went from oppression to possessions were noted. They got pains in their abdomen or their solar plexus, and it occurred right around 3 a.m. Like it had to wait until that time to get an extra level of power. So I think that maybe that was probably more than the meat and potatoes of the 3 a.m. It's something to chew on. So with that, we'll end this episode.
And remind you that, remember, the battle with Satan's already been won. We just would like to help you fight the good fight while we've got to be here. Find us on the web, our radio show, or stay tuned for another episode of Fellowship of the Swords.
www.swordsofstmichael.org or catholicdemonologist.com for our books and resources and videos and educational resources. And until the next episode, God bless. Good day.